Have you ever felt the sting of disrespect and stayed silent just to keep the peace? What if I told you silence used the right way could be your greatest weapon? They roll their eyes, cut you off mid-sentence, make jokes at your expense. It's subtle, but you feel it. That quiet dismissal. The question is, what are you going to do about it? Not all battles are loud. Some are won with nothing but a steady stare. Today, I'll show you how to reclaim your power without ever raising your voice. Have you ever noticed how some people test your limits? Like your time, your emotions, and your dignity are optional extras. They interrupt you mid-sentence, throw in passive-aggressive remarks, or act like respecting you is somehow negotiable. So, what should you do? Just smile, nod, and let it slide. Not today, if you're done tolerating disrespect and pretending it doesn't bother you. This video is for you. Today, I'm going to share one of the most quietly powerful methods for handling disrespect without losing your cool and without sacrificing your self-worth. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to draw a firm line and do it with calm confidence. Let's dive in. Solution number 1. Embrace the silent. Stare. Let me ask you something. Have you ever tried saying absolutely nothing and still ended the argument? Sounds impossible, right? But this is hands down one of the most effective techniques I've ever used. When someone disrespects you, makes a rude comment, talks over you, or throws shade, they're often looking for a reaction. They want you to stumble, get flustered, or lash out so they can drag you into their mess. But instead, what if you just looked at them? No smirk, no anger, no fear, just a steady, calm, silent stare. It flips the script completely. The power dynamic shifts and they feel it. I remember once at a family gathering, one relative decided he was going to be that guy, criticizing the food, the decorations, everyone's stories. When he turned to me with one of his little digs, I didn't argue. I didn't even blink. I just looked at him, silent, steady, unmoved. And suddenly, he fumbled, got uncomfortable, shifted in his seat. He backed down. And for the rest of the night, he didn't bother anyone again. That stare said everything words couldn't. It wasn't aggressive. It was grounded, centered, and more powerful than any comeback I could have thrown at him. Here's the truth. Some people throw disrespect around like confetti because no one ever calls them on it. But when you meet their disrespect with stillness, you become a mirror. You reflect their behavior right back at the man. They don't like what they see. The silent stare doesn't just shut down their nonsense. It also reminds you that you don't have to shrink, explain, or laugh it off to keep the peace. You're not here to be liked by everyone. You're here to honor your dignity. I used to be the person who would laugh nervously at rude jokes, who'd try to explain myself when someone doubted me. But that only left me drained, frustrated, and worse, invisible. Everything changed the day I learned to stop reacting and start observing. The silent stare is subtle, but it speaks volumes. It says, I see you, and I will not play your game. So the next time someone crosses a line, whether it's in a meeting, at a dinner table, or even with a friend, don't rush to defend yourself. Just pause, breathe, and hold their gaze. Let the silence do the work. Solution number 2. Embrace silence. As your answer, have you ever realized just how powerful silence can be? When someone disrespects you, your first instinct might be to defend yourself, to speak up, explain, or clap back. But what if the strongest response was no response at all? I get it. Staying silent can feel passive, like you're letting them win or escape accountability. But in truth, silence isn't weakness, it's a choice. A very intentional one. Choosing not to engage with someone's negativity sends a message, louder than any words. I will not waste my energy on you. You're not ignoring the disrespect. You're rising above it. Most people who throw around rude comments or passive-aggressive remarks expect a reaction. They want the argument. They want to pull you in to see you flustered, upset, or scrambling to explain yourself. But when you give them nothing, when you remain composed and quiet, it forces them to sit in the discomfort of their own behavior. I remember a friend I used to hang out with, often someone who always had a way of slipping insults into jokes. You know the type, just kidding, they'd say, even when the remark hit a little too close to home. One day, he made an unnecessary comment about my personal life, something clearly meant to provoke me, to see if I'd react. But instead of responding, I simply raised my eyebrows and said absolutely nothing. I let his words hang there and answered. No laughter, no reply, just silence. And in that silence, everything shifted. He got visibly uncomfortable, glanced away, muttered something under his breath, and quickly changed the subject. And just like that, those little jokes stopped. No argument, no confrontation, just the quiet truth that I wasn't playing along anymore. That one moment said more than any comeback ever could. Here's the thing. When you stay silent, you strip disrespect of the one thing it feeds, on attention. Silence becomes your shield, your filter, your boundary. It's not about pretending you didn't hear. It's about choosing not to let it in. You're telling them, without a single word, I value my peace more than your opinion. And honestly, that's a transformation in itself. So often we feel pressured to respond, to justify our decisions, to explain ourselves to people who haven't earned that explanation in the first place. But silence says, I'm done performing for your approval. It's not just about controlling the situation, it's about reclaiming your energy. It's about living life on your terms, not theirs. I'll admit learning this wasn't easy for me. I used to think that if I didn't speak up, I'd look weak. That silence meant surrender. But the more I tried to fight back with words, the more drained I felt afterward. Until one day, I realized every time I stayed silent, I felt stronger, more in control, like I was protecting a part of myself that had been exposed for too long. So here's my challenge for you. The next time someone disrespects you, stop, take a breath, look them in the eye, and say nothing. Let the silence do the talking. You might be amazed at how uncomfortable it makes them, and how empowered it makes you feel. Page 3. Stop explaining yourself. Few. V already realized that silence can be the most powerful response. Now, let's talk about another form of quiet strength, refusing to explain your choices. Have you ever noticed that every time you make a personal decision, someone feels entitled to ask, why? Why did you quit that job? Why didn't you attend that event? Why would you walk away from something stable? It seems like people expect a full report on every move you make, as if your life is public property. But here's the truth. You don't owe anyone an explanation for how you choose to live. That might sound a little defiant, but let's be honest, when people question your decisions, they usually aren't trying to understand. They're trying to judge or convince you to reconsider, or feel better about their safe, predictable choices by making you second-guess yours. But here's the power move. Stop playing their game. When you stop explaining yourself, you silently tell the world, my life is not up for debate. You reclaim the steering wheel, and people start to realize they no longer have access to question you. But why do they feel entitled to answers in the first place? Often, your independence threatens their comfort. Maybe you're taking a leap they're too afraid to take. Maybe your courage makes their excuses harder to live with. But remember this, just because your growth unsettles someone else, doesn't mean you owe them comfort. Your life is not a press conference. You don't need to stand at a podium every time you change direction. I remember when I left a safe job to chase a dream. People acted like I was jumping off a cliff. I tried to explain about my passion, my plans, the bigger picture. But the more I explained, the more they questioned, and the more I doubted, until one day, someone asked why, and I simply said, because I want to. No details, no disclaimers, just truth, and the silence that followed. It was powerful. They had nothing left to argue with. And eventually, they stopped asking. That's the beauty of not explaining yourself. It creates peace, not because the world agrees, but because you do. When you trust your own judgment, you don't seek approval. You don't waste energy convincing others. You use that energy to build a life that actually belongs to you. Here's a deeper truth. Your confidence doesn't need applause. And truly confident people, they don't overexplain, because they know the only validation that matters is their own. I've been there too. I used to give people a whole presentation just to get their support, but all it did was make me question myself more. So I made a rule. If my heart is clear, I don't owe anyone a speech, and neither do you. Let's continue. From where we left off, previously, we talked about how freeing it is to stop explaining your choices. Now, let's go deeper. Someone once asked me why I made a certain decision. I gave them a short answer, just 1 or 2 sentences. When they pressed for more, I smiled and moved on. And you know what? Life got so much lighter. The less I explained myself, the more confident I felt in my decisions. There was no need to convince anyone. Just owning my choice was enough. So here's a challenge for you. Next time someone questions your decision, resist the urge to explain. Just say, because I want to, or it's the right choice for me. Then let the silence do the talking. Watch how powerful that simple statement becomes. You'll feel stronger, more in control, more at peace, and the best part, you'll realize your choices don't need anyone's approval to matter. They carry value simply because you made them with clarity and intention. Before we move on to the next point, if you're enjoying this video, don't forget to like and subscribe. Hit the bell so you never miss out on content like this. And if this resonates with you, drop a comment. Love this wisdom. Let's keep learning. Now, let's move on to principle number 4. 4. Keep your distance. Have you ever felt like, no matter how kind or patient you are, some people just refuse to respect your worth? Here's a hard truth. Not everyone deserves a front row seat in your life. If someone constantly disrespects you, one of the most empowering things you can do is to step back. That doesn't mean you hate them. It doesn't mean you're being dramatic. It means you love yourself enough to protect your peace. Keeping your distance isn't about giving the cold shoulder. It's about choosing where to place your emotional energy. Think of your life like a private club. Not everyone gets VIP access. If someone repeatedly drains you, disrespects your boundaries, or makes you feel uneasy, why keep inviting them in? Creating space helps you see the truth without the fog of guilt or manipulation. Think of it this way: when you let people who don't respect you stay close, it's like inviting them to an emotional buffet where they can criticize, judge, and belittle you freely. No wonder you feel drained. No wonder you question yourself. Giving yourself distance is a form of emotional self-defense. It's how you protect your mind, guard your peace, and make room for people who truly care for you. I remember a friend who never missed a chance to take a jab at me, my career, my relationships, even my music taste. At first, I told myself, maybe that's just how they are. I brushed it off, but over time, the little jabs started to sting. I found myself walking on eggshells, always bracing for the next hit. So one day, I didn't argue. I didn't explain. I just began to see them less. Once a week became once a month, and slowly I felt lighter, freer. With that space, I finally saw how toxic the friendship had become, and I realized I deserved better. Some people might call that selfish. They'll say, but they're family, or you've known them for years. And yes, it can feel uncomfortably and guilty to admit someone close to you isn't good for you. Society tells us to forgive endlessly, to stay loyal at all costs. But here's the truth. Protecting your peace isn't selfish. It's necessary. You're not here to be someone's emotional punching bag, or their permanent source of validation. Sometimes, the strongest way to say enough is to simply walk away. And the deeper truth, creating distance sends a powerful message. You are your own priority. Once you start setting clear boundaries with people who don't respect you, you're not just protecting yourself, you're making a powerful statement that your peace and mental well-being come first. You don't have to play the role others assign to you, and you absolutely don't owe anyone your time, your emotions, or your mental energy. Creating distance from those who don't value you isn't selfish. It's an act of self-love and a declaration of what you truly deserve. That distance, sometimes, is the space you need to breathe. It's the room to refocus on relationships that actually matter, the ones that lift you up instead of dragging you down. Think about it. The more time you spend around people who respect you, the more confident, grounded, and energized you feel. And the less time you give to those who drain you or make you doubt yourself, the less influence they have over your thoughts, your mood, and your life. I used to feel incredibly guilty for stepping back from people who didn't treat me well. I kept asking myself, am I overreacting? Am I just being too sensitive? But over time, I came to understand something. Distancing yourself isn't just about avoiding negativity. It's a deliberate choice, a way of creating space where you can heal, grow, and thrive. So here's a challenge for you. Think about the people in your life right now who are the ones who consistently make you feel small, exhausted, or unworthy. Then ask yourself honestly, do they really deserve that much access to your mind and your heart? 5. Hold your head high. Have you ever felt like someone was deliberately trying to make you feel small, as if they took pleasure in cutting you down, teasing you, or putting you on the spot just to watch you squirm? In moments like that, you might have heard the advice, just hold your head high. It sounds simple, maybe even a little cliché, but in truth, it's one of the most powerful things you can do when facing disrespect. Because when someone disrespects you, they're often watching to see how you'll react. They want to see you shrink. They want you to lower your eyes, stay quiet, back down. They want to plant doubt in your heart about your own worth. But if you stand tall, hold your head high and calmly walk away. You're sending a message without saying a word. I know my value, and nothing you say can take that away. The power of that moment comes from confidence. And strangely enough, confidence unsettles those who try to belittle others. They're used to controlling people through their words, their looks, their passive-aggressive jokes. But when you don't react, when their negativity doesn't shake you, their power begins to slip away. I still remember dealing with someone who loved to throw sly insults my way. You know the type, always smiling, but their words cut like little knives. At first, I tried to brush it off, pretend it didn't bother me. But honestly, every time I saw them, it felt like I had to put up an invisible shield just to protect myself. One day, I had enough. I walked into the room with my head high, and every time they made a sarcastic remark, I just looked at them, smiled, and went on with what I was doing like nothing had happened. The result? They backed off. It was like they could feel that their words no longer touched me, that I had risen above all the noise. And just like that, their power over me began to disappear. There's something magnetic about holding your head high. It's like wearing invisible armor, a mental shield that only you can build. And people who don't respect you, they usually hate that, because it disrupts the world they've built where they feel superior, in control. They want to believe they can manipulate you, that you need them to feel valuable. But when you walk with confidence, you shatter that illusion. You break their narrative. Sure, it might make you a target temporarily, but always remember, holding your head high isn't for them, it's for you. It's a daily reminder that you are worthy of respect. It's a bold message of a silent declaration. No matter what you say or do, I still know I deserve to be treated with dignity. Because self-worth isn't something you wait for others to give you. It's something you affirm within yourself every single day, just by walking with your head held high. Let's continue, because once you start protecting your space, something powerful happens. You begin to carry yourself like someone who knows their value. You live as if you already have everything you need, because the truth is, you do. Holding your head high becomes more than just a gesture, becomes a quiet declaration that you are the main character in your own story. No one else's opinion should have the power to make you feel small. I'll be honest, it wasn't always like this for me. There was a time when I would avoid eye contact, lower my gaze, shrank into myself, just to avoid conflict or criticism. I thought if I stayed quiet, if I took up less space, maybe I wouldn't get hurt. But the pain still came. Over time, I learned that every time I held my head high, even when it was hard, even when someone's words tried to pierce through, my confidence, I walked away stronger. It reminded me that my worth doesn't come from someone else's approval. It comes from within. I could stand tall and be proud of who I was, no matter who was watching. Because holding your head high isn't just about how you walk, it's about how you think. It's your mental posture. When you walk into a room, walk in like you belong there. Don't shrink yourself to fit into someone else's narrow view of who you should be. If someone throws a cruel comment your way, let it slide off you. Don't absorb it. They're not really seeing you, they're only projecting their own insecurities onto you. So the next time you feel disrespected, don't fold. Pause, breathe, roll your shoulders back, lift your chin, and look them in the eye as if to say, I see you, but I'm above this. You'll feel a quiet surge of strength, a kind of calm power, because you've just shown yourself that their words hold no weight in your world. Respect begins with you. The more you respect yourself, the less oxygen there is for anyone else's. Disrespect to survive in your presence. So stand tall, embrace your worth, and remind yourself that you are worthy of every ounce of confidence you've ever felt. Now you've learned a few ways to protect your peace and handle those who can't. See your value. Life is far too short to keep molding yourself into the expectations of those who never appreciated you in the first place. You don't need anyone's permission to live boldly, to protect your space, or to hold your head high. Thank you so much for watching. If something in this video resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe for more content on reclaiming your power and building unshakable confidence. And if you've ever had to rise above disrespect or set a boundary that changed your life, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your story. Until next time, take care, stay grounded, and remember, disrespect starts with you.